Hi everyone, this is Take Two Tonight. I'm Elle Ingalls and I'm going to try and bring on my friend Rachel Hall all the way from Australia. So we're having a little bit of tech difficulty. We'll see if we can bring her up here. I'm gonna I'm gonna tag her first, see if that helps. I'm gonna tag Rachel in this post. Rachel Hall is a dentist on the other side of the world, which is really pretty cool. So I've tagged her, and now, bear with me. Let's see. Okay, get rid of that. Don't get rid of that. Get rid of this. And I'm going to try to bring her on here. Oh, it looks like it's going to work. Hey, she's coming. So everyone, I want to introduce you to my friend. Rachel is a dentist on the other side of the world. And there she is. It works.
Hey, I switched to my
Yay.
iPhone, so if I'm a little bit bobbly, if I'm a bit movement, that's why. I was trying it on my computer and I like just Googled really quickly, how do
Uh-huh.
you do a Facebook Live? Why am I not being invited? And they went, you got to do it on your iPhone.
On your iPhone, yeah. Oh, I should have told you
Yeah,
that. Yeah. The
that's all
phone can do
right.
so much more. It's pretty amazing. So, well, we had some people on. Hopefully, they'll come on this one too. And we've got my friend Holly on here. And I'm definitely going to stream this out on my different feeds too after we do this, Rachel. Um, but for those of you who are new to my show, I'm Elle Ingalls. I'm the creator of the Pressure Free Method. And I help professionals, C-suite execs, and some high achieving students get rid of the fear, get rid of the anxiety so they can step into their full potential. And Rachel and I met, gosh, like over a year ago. And gosh, I still remember our last dinner together. Was it in February?
Yeah.
February 2018. And so I just feel really, really honored to have her here on my show with me because she's, an amazing leader. She's just done incredible things in her life. And I think, Rachel, that you just overcome so much to be the leader that you are today. So, and if you freeze up a little, we'll just let that happen and hopefully you'll be back. Because that happens. Again, we're going all the way around the world together, which I think is incredible. And hopefully she's going to come back here. She may have lost her connection
That's
for a
all
moment.
right.
There she is.
We're back. It just
No
drops in and out.
problem.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
it's great to be here with you, Al, and I love that you talk about living pressure free because dentistry is full of pressure. And one of the things that I do is help other dentists to deal with that pressure and have a dental practice and a career that allows them to really enjoy what they do and have fun while they're doing it. And so I think the two really go hand in hand.
yeah, definitely. And I'd like you to start out because I thought it was interesting when we first met, you shared some things that I didn't know about, and I've talked to some physicians too about how much over their head there is with practice and how much goes into having a practice and why what you do can be so critical for people. Really, in any business, you can apply the techniques and the things that you do to many businesses, but I'd love for you to share about that.
Well, I think one of the first thing is that you get a degree, and whether that be in dentistry or in any area, and you decide to go into business for yourself, you realize very quickly you know zero about business. You don't know how to manage people, you don't know how to systemize things, you don't know how to deal with your finances. And all of a sudden you've gone from having one job, so like for me being a dentist, to having 10 jobs. And
Yeah.
that creates stress and strain. And so, particularly in dentistry, we're running to time constraints. You're dealing with anxious and fearful people, you're trying to manage your team and look after the day to day. And that creates a lot of pressure and stress. And so, sadly, lots of dentists and physicians end up with stress related illnesses, mental health problems. They quit, they burn out, or they suicide. And we're seeing a very high number of that now in medicine.
Wow.
Used to be a bit of a joke and a horrible joke is that, oh, yeah, you've got a high suicide rate, don't you? Say that you're a dentist. And that's now happening in medicine. I think personally for me, I've been through that burnout. I've been very low and I've come through and come the other side and created things in my life and my practice. And I don't want to see other people have to struggle or make the same mistakes that I did.
Wow. Do you see that it's younger dentists that you're coaching, or is it people of all ages that you're coaching in your practice?
All ages really, and we go through different phases. So it's a bit like the seasons. You have spring and summer and autumn and fall, and winter. And so as a young dentist, you're in your spring, you're growing and you're developing, and you need nurturing and encouragement and guidance. Then as you go
Mm-hmm.
into your summer, you're starting to really flourish and grow, and you're having new ideas, and they're wanting to take their businesses and their careers to a new level and make changes. Then as we get older,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of my age group, we want to consolidate, we're wanting to bring things in, and create a legacy. And then the older
Oh,
dentists who are a little bit older than me, they want to plan for their retirement and for their exit strategy. And so right across the board, I'm working with many age groups, and it's very applicable.
what would you say are some of the top three things, some of the top three ways that you bring benefit and value to people in their practices?
Well, first of all, it's allowing them to take a step back and say, what do I want and what do I not want? I find that we get caught in this situation where we're like, I wanted to do something and now it hasn't turned out the way I wanted. And I'm just hoping that one day something's going to shift and it's all going to, ta-da, fairy dust and rainbows. It's all going to be magical and I expected it. But unless we go, stop, draw a line, this is not what I wanted, and bring ourselves back on track. So that's the first thing we do is we look at the why, the vision, the values, the long-term future, the big picture, the dream. Then the next
Uh-huh.
part is how are we going to make that happen? And for me, in my practice, and what works really well with my clients is systems. So getting systems down and processes so that the leader of the team can then delegate with confidence and focus on driving towards their goals. Within that,
Mhm.
I would say the third thing is that you've got to be a leader. You've got to be a leader of yourself in your own life and your business, and you have to help grow leaders in your own team. I have a little phrase when my clients are struggling, I go, come on, let go and let grow. So they've got to let go of the things that they shouldn't be doing, that they're not good at doing, that they don't want to be doing, create the systems and processes, and then give that to the team and let them grow as people and grow as leaders within their business.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. We have a business owner watching here, by the way, my friend Karen. She's a house stager.
Hey,
And
Karen.
when you have your own business too, that idea of, what is it that you're just not going to tolerate anymore? What are the things you're
Yeah.
doing that you need to pass off to someone? Can you give some examples of things that you've passed off? Because I have some silly ones, but I'd like to hear
Uh,
what you've passed.
well, let me just give you a bit of background. I
Okay.
was the ultimate micromanager, the control
Anybody
freak.
relate there?
Yeah, over everything. I'd be like, "Why are you doing it like that?" Blah blah blah. I was everywhere. I was exhausting myself, and so I'm like, and I was tyrant. I was to me, being the leader was like cracking the whip. You've got to do it my way or no way. There wasn't clear expectations or guidelines around that either, which was a huge drama. And so what I realised is that I've got a team who are answering the phone. I need to let them do that, and not try and be stood next to them going, say this, say that, do this, do that. So it's letting go. For me, I went, okay, what am I best at? Where am I
Uh-huh.
most productive? Or where do I bring the best value? And that's drilling teeth. And so in businesses, the CEO needs to do what they're best at and brings the most value. So I handed over things like bookkeeping, payroll, things like keeping scorecards, which they're not silly because they're important, but I shouldn't have been doing them. Dealing with correspondence, following up with phone calls, just a lot of the interactions that I was doing with the customers or the patients that I then
Mhm.
trained my team to do so I would have more time to focus. So I've pretty much given away all the day-to-day running of my
Wow.
business, and I work on strategy, vision, marketing, which
Wow.
has been a big journey to go from that controlling micromanager to actually go, we can do I'm big on extreme and aggressive delegation, but you've then got to empower
Extreme.
your team.
I love that. And you
And
know,
I think,
as an entrepreneur, Rachel, like you can look at all the things that we do, the home things and I mean,
yeah,
there's so much that we do that can be delegated or let go of. And
yeah,
Karen's chiming in here. She goes, in the beginning, I wanted to grow into a huge company, not anymore, keeping it manageable as a solopreneur. Yeah, you
yeah,
know, it's deciding what size you want. That's really important. I'm sure
yeah,
you work with your clients on that too. Like, what size
exactly.
do you really want to
You
be?
know, yeah, and you know, does that make sense to be that size? Are you leveraging everything? And I think just as you've touched on, as an entrepreneur, and I run two businesses, we're very visionary. So we have
Hmm.
these ideas and we have these things we want to implement, and then we have to try and make them happen. And we've got to integrate all that into our business, which isn't necessarily our mindset. And so
Right.
we have to learn to go, I need to employ someone who is naturally an integrator, but believes in my vision. And then you can get them doing emails and automating things for you and taking
Hmm.
care of so much stuff that then allows you to go, oh, I've got an idea, let's run with it, rather than
Hmm.
trying to switch between these two modes that maybe we're not suited for.
I'm curious, when you bring someone on your team, what is your process to share your vision with them?
Okay, so it's interesting that because we've been bringing new people onto the team just this week, and so
Oh, neat.
even in the way we advertise for the position, the way we recruit, we talk very much about our values because that's core and key to our business, and we want people who align and resonate to those values. We want to hire to
Okay.
that. We also share very briefly, like I'm a holistic dental practice. We're about making difference to people's lives. Do you want to be part of something bigger? That's just in the ads.
Wow.
When we interview, we share our vision. This is where we are now. This is why we do what we want to do, where we're going to be. They get that in their onboarding on their very first day. We talk about it every team meeting on a weekly basis. And then every 3 months, we have what we call a team alignment session, where we have a whole day out of the office. And the first thing we start with is, this is our vision. This is where we want to be. This is how we're going to get there. This is our strategy. This is the part you play. On top of that, we also have development plans for each and every staff member. So we sit down with them, we ask them what's their vision, what are their goals, where do they see themselves personally and professionally, and then we work out a plan to help them achieve that within us,
Wow.
which
That is very
which is
comprehensive.
it is. And as a leader now, because before I was a dentist, now I'm a business owner and I'm a leader who does dentistry. As a leader, that allows me
Oh,
great insight. We are allowed to communicate. We understand one another. They get to buy in to what we're doing. They know it's more than just a job. And then you can ask them to stretch and grow and take on more responsibility because that's what people want. They don't want to stagnate.
that's right. It's really true. It's really true. Now, Karen has
I
written
was
in
just
here, that would be nice. I rarely have time to implement new ideas.
Yeah, but it takes work to
Okay.
get there, and that's why we don't do it because it seems overwhelming. But I was just going to share my style used to be, hey, you want a job? You've got 2 arms, 2 legs, a pulse. Yeah, you can go. Here's your room. Do it. And then they didn't know what they were supposed to be doing. I was peed off with them because they weren't doing what I wanted them to be doing.
Right,
I
right.
wasn't leading them. I wasn't communicating. I wasn't helping them. And the other style is you bring people into your team and you know that they're very competent and then you abdicate your responsibility. You go, oh, don't have to do this anymore. And then they're running your business the way you
Oh,
don't want.
right.
And a lot of
Right.
dentists are what I call a bit of a doormat style leader. They're wanting to be nice and people please and be friendly. And so don't rock the boat. And they put up with stuff that drives them insane and is actually harming their businesses. And it's about then coming back and going, let's go back to the vision. How do we want things to be? How do we want people to show up? And as a leader, you've got to have those difficult conversations.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious, what made you want to change? Like, was there this point where you just couldn't go on the way you were, or what was your transition point?
There was a point where I couldn't go on anymore, Al. I was finding I was dreading going to work. I'd had a sense of humor bypass. I wasn't having any fun. I was stressed. I felt like I was being held to ransom by my team. They were making demands on me all the time, constantly coming and asking me questions. And I'm like, guys, you know the answers to this. Why are you asking me? And I was just exhausted. And I'm like, this isn't
Uh-huh.
what I want. So I was like, well, you've got two options: quit, and I'm not a quitter. I might fall down a few
Okay.
times, but I do always get back up. I'm like, no, you've got to make a change. And I read a book called Killing the Dental Office Before It Kills You. And this talks about a
Say that
dentist
again. I want to hear that title. What's that title?
killing your dental office before it kills you, I believe is what it's called. And this is about a guy who'd had a heart attack and nearly died. He was a dentist, and he
Oh,
came back. While he was lying there in hospital, he realized things needed to change. And so he went
wow.
back and he basically sacked all his team and then told them they had to reapply for their positions based on his new way of doing his dental practice. And I'm like, I don't have to
Wow.
wait. I don't have to wait for a heart attack. I can
Good
make
for
a choice
you.
and do it now. And so that's when the shift started. But I couldn't do it on my own, Al. I needed support. So I got a business coach, I got a mentor, I joined a business mastermind group. I started reading tons and tons of business books so that I could improve and learn about being a business person. And it
Mm-hmm.
took
Mm-hmm.
took probably 10 years to get from that point to where I am now. And it's
Wow.
constantly evolving, improving.
Mm-hmm. And I remember some of your great stories about like not being wanting to fly, and then now you're a jet
Yeah,
setter, right?
that's right. And it's interesting because my team will say, oh, you're always very confident, self assured. And I'm like, I am. But not because of all that pressure. I was very anxious. I didn't feel I could cope
Mm-hmm.
with even the basic things in life. And flying was a big symbolism, a big metaphor for I don't want to fly. I'm scared to fly. What's going to happen if I let go of the control and let somebody else fly the ship? And so I would have panic attacks before, 3, 4 days before the flight was booked. I'd be
Wow.
crying at the airport. I thought I was going to vomit and pass out. But ironically, once we were on and we'd taken off, I was fine. And so I'm like, oh, you just got to go with it. You just got to take off. And then you're going to be okay. And and so now I can fly on my own. I have no anxiousness about it at all. I've travelled to the States on my own, all the way to LA and then cross country over to Florida and Carolinas. Amazing stuff, and meeting people that I don't know and just feeling comfortable in my own skin. And I think that's been the blessing of stepping up as a leader and
Mm-hmm.
developing in my business is you become quite self-aware, you become very reflective, you understand strengths and weaknesses are not a bad thing. They're just things you're not good at doing, or your mind doesn't work around them. And through that you learn humility and you learn to
Mm-hmm.
ask for help, support and advice, and that to me is a sign of strength. And I used to think, now only weak people ask for help, but
Right, right,
it,
right.
yeah, it's strong to
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, I don't know. I don't have the answers. I need support.
Right. Oh, we got a thumbs up from Karen on that one.
No,
I think that's a really amazing point you just made, Rachel. And it is not a sign of weakness to ask for help. And also that our mistakes are the perfect place for us to reevaluate and do the work. And I'm a violin teacher as well as being a performance coach. And today I was just teaching a student about that very thing. Because when they make a mistake, they cringe. And I'm like, no,
yeah,
no, no, no. This is exactly the place that we just need to work. So it's a beautiful thing to be open enough to see your mistake. When you're a musician, you hear it instantly. But as a
Yeah,
business leader, sometimes our mistakes are hidden. We have to
yeah.
dig a little bit and say, oh,
And sometimes it can
Mhm.
take months for that mistake to kind of rear its ugly head. But we have a mistakes are opportunities culture in our business. So it's like, okay, we made a mistake. What's the opportunity? And we go back and we go, did we have a proper system? Did we have a proper process? Yes, we did. Or no, we didn't. Did we train this person enough on this system? And we always look at those things first. And like we've had a difficult thing happen in our business this week. It really shook me. It made me have to sit down with my team and just say to them, this is how I feel. I was very vulnerable with them, very humble that I felt responsible because I'd had this little voice telling me this needs addressing. And because it didn't address it, it came back to get us on the bum. And the team have been amazing this week. They've rallied round. They've seen me in a different light. They've gone to a whole new level. It's brought us closer together. So what was a disaster, something great has come out of it. And I'm laughing today, a week later, after being like, oh, God, this is the end of the world.
Right.
But as a human being, we need to connect to one another. And I think when we lead a business or we're leading ourselves, we can tend to close off and harden up and keep things hidden. And that
Yeah.
creates distance and the team don't really understand what's going on. And I have found the more open I am, the more vulnerable I am, the more honest I can be, the stronger our team gets and the stronger the business becomes and the better relationships we have with our clients and patients.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Now, this may seem like a strange question, but it's a question on my mind. And that is, as you were going through this evolution, what were some things that you up leveled, like clothing, eating, living? What were things that you changed on this journey as were really up leveling and changing the way your team is? Did you change personally?
Yeah, I've grown amazingly. I look back and I go, who was that person? You were a maniac. You were just so grumpy. You were so short-tempered. You were out of control. And look, some of the things I changed was going, well, I've got to look after me. I'm the number one asset in my business. My health is suffering. So I changed dietary things. So I let go of crappy junk food. I changed my exercise. I was actually exercising too hard and too
Oh, yeah.
intensely. I
Mm-hmm.
was pushing my body to the extremes, and it was quite abusive. If I look back at it now, I make sure I have regular walks. I swim. I go to the gym. I do things that are a lot more fun. So I took up skateboarding again. I have an electric scooter. I go surfboarding. I just love being in nature. So I've made time for me, and I go to
Uh-huh.
bed early. I read a lot more, and I started getting healing sessions, going for massages, and just really looking after me rather than putting me last all the time and putting the business first.
Wow.
And I explained that my business was like this unplanned child with special needs, and it was just very, very demanding. And so it was
Yeah.
finding a way of managing that, but not compromising myself. And I've grown, I've become more confident. My personality has come out a lot more. I'm very cheeky, and that's why, I'm called the cheeky dentist.
You are.
And I think you should be allowed to just be yourself, no matter what your profession. You can still be
Mm-hmm.
professional and care, but it doesn't mean you've got to conform to a mold. And I think I've broken free from those shackles.
Uh-huh. I remember at our last dinner together, we were just all shooting the breeze around the table. And you told the most hilarious story about how, we get on these Facebook Lives, and Karen lives in my town. She's on live with me right now. And, people will say, you talked about how people say, oh, you're doing another one of those Facebook Lives. And you just said, you were so funny about it. You're like, all the way to the bank. It's like, we're putting ourselves out there. Karen has put herself on camera.
Right.
She's done it. And it's
Yeah,
huge
well
to put
done.
yourself out there.
It takes a lot of confidence. And I think just that analogy of it's huge to do something that stretches you out of your comfort zone, whether that be changing a leadership style, bringing something new into a business, or admitting you don't want something anymore. That's courageous.
Right.
And I remember the first time I was on Facebook Live, I was sat like a robot, didn't move. My heart was beating out of my chest. I was sweating. It took me 30 minutes to pluck up courage to press the go live button. And then I'm like, hello. Oh my God.
I remember your first videos.
Yeah. And then you just go, you know what? I watch other people on their lives and I'm like, well done. Good on you for having a go. And I'm like, if I'm thinking that, other people are thinking that when they watch me. And again, it's just that letting go, doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. I mean, I could have turned around and gone, that was awful. I felt so uncomfortable. I'm never doing that again. But then
Karen said, I hated
yeah.
Karen, she goes, I hated the first one. I've loved doing every video after that. I've even taught others.
Correct. And I think that's a great mindset thing, is that you go, I could be really make this about myself and go, I don't want to do this. It's pushing me beyond my limits. I'm having to be vulnerable. All those things that run through your head, you know, I'm going to look stupid. I don't like how I sound or how I look. But on the flip side of that is that I've got stuff to share.
Right.
I realize that I say to me what appears to be the most simplest and obvious thing, yet I get comments of that changed my life. And I go, well, if I hadn't done that Facebook Live, how selfish. Those people would have not got that information. And as a leader, if you're holding stuff back and you're not encouraging and growing your team, I think you're being really selfish, because those people have so much to learn from you and you can learn from them.
Oh, that's really, that idea coupled with the idea that we're worth an investment. So many times I will do a strategy session with someone about pressure free, and they won't move forward, and yet their health is deteriorating. The wake up call is going to come, and what a lot of people don't realize is that most people only get one heart attack. If you survive a heart attack, that's amazing. Most people only get the one chance.
Yeah, I can share from that from my own personal life. I am 49. When I was 20, my dad died aged 47 of a heart attack. Never knew he'd got heart disease. And so you start to go, whoa, life is short. And then you get caught up in life. And then at age 30, not of a heart attack, but a good friend of mine who was the same age, died of cancer. And I went, what am I waiting for? Why am I putting my life on hold for one day? Yeah, and like that's the year I decided to leave the UK and move to Australia. And then you go, so you go, this is why I think I have a lot of resilience, because I joke with my team, well, nobody died. It's all good. Nobody died. There's always a way forward. But
oh my goodness, the fact that you said that.
Why are we going to wait for that heart attack and takes us out? We know when things aren't right. We know when we're not happy, and we know we need to make a change. It takes courage to make a change, and sometimes it's easier to stay in the comfort zone. But if you don't change something, you just get more of the same.
It's also easy to stay in the uncomfortable zone because you understand your pain and your mess.
Yeah.
You know it. And so a lot of times people won't move forward because they're happy in they're not happy in their mess.
Yeah.
But they know it.
Yeah, and it gives them an identity, because you go, well, without that, who am I going to be? What's going to be asked of me? And it's like you lose yourself. And as we were talking, you know, even in the last year and a half or 2 years that we've known each other, we've both changed and grown so much. And yet we're still going, what next? What next? What next? Because I'm excited. I'm like, I've got all this amazing stuff and so many opportunities ahead of me. And I want people to have that for themselves. And look, if they don't want that, fine, you're not a fit for us. But there are people out there crying out for it, and I see it every day. And I have non-dentists reach out to me all the time. Can you coach me? And I'm like, I have to say no, because that's not where I bring my best value. And I want to bring value to everyone I interact with.
Right. Yeah, that's beautiful. So everyone who's watching the replay on this, please send this out to your dentists.
Yeah,
I'm
I'd
sure
love that.
you have dentist friends all over the world, or hygienist friends. You know, you have friends. Someone takes care of your teeth, probably more than one person. So go ahead and send this out. Let them meet Rachel. Let them connect social media with her, and also through her website. You know, she's got some amazing blogs, video blogs, and Facebook Live she's done over the years that that I have watched. I've learned a lot from you too, just about the care of your teeth, and it's just really incredible. So you provide some truly amazing leadership for people, but I think you also provide a lot of inspiration.
Thank you.
Thanks. And anything else you want to share?
Well, I think that inspiration comes from walking your talk and actually going through that lived experience. And I watch a lot of other coaches, particularly within my own niche, and they always talk about how successful they are, and you just need to copy what I've done. I feel that there's something missing in that, where they don't share what was it that took them to that point. And I'm always, you know, I'm big on storytelling. I'm big on saying, you know, I've been there, I did this. I understand what it's like. I'm not just reading this from a textbook, or, you know, this is stuff that's happened. And so I think
real experience.
I think we have to be willing as coaches and as leaders to go, you know what, I've made mistakes. I've struggled. I've done it the hard way. It isn't just all handed to me on a plate, because I think it's very easy to watch someone you admire or that you're inspired by and go, wow, they're so up here. I'll never be able to do that. But we've all started at the bottom. We all started as a blank slate, and we've gathered knowledge and information. And I am like a little sponge now. I'm constantly asking people in different arenas, how do you do that? How did you get to be where you're at? Tell me your story. Because that you learn from. It's like reading people's autobiographies. You know, Richard Branson wasn't always Richard Branson as, you know, the head of Virgin. He was a kid at school with dyslexia who had been written off. And so you go,
so interesting
that is
that. When I do a speaking engagement, you know, they'll read my bio, which is rather impressive. And so then when I get in front of my group, I'll say, hey, let's put all that aside for a moment and let me tell you a real story. And I tell them a story about myself that clues in who I really am and something that's happened to me, or something I did. Like, I will share my worst parenting moment. It's like my worst parenting moment, because I know that they have similar ones. They've had similar feelings, you know, and sometimes like removing that facade and saying, you know, no, this is, and then I'll get like the feedback from the presenters, like, oh my gosh, you were so real. You know, people need that. You know?
And that's what people want. People want to connect. They want to be able to relate. And by bringing that realness to our team, our partners, our friends, our children, we get to understand one another. We see each other differently. And then you go, oh, it's almost like giving the other person permission to let down their guard.
Right. Because and then they can learn.
Yeah, this person's such a superstar. You know, they're miles ahead of where I was at. But they have to remember that 10, 15 years ago, we were exactly in their shoes.
Yeah.
And that's why we can
when
help.
People's guard is down, they can learn. But if their guard is up, they can't learn.
Yeah.
So that's another huge.
And then there's the flip side of that, where, and I see this a lot, and I'm sorry to be a bit stereotypical, but mainly with the male dentists, that they tend to pretend that they've got it all together, and there's a bit of an arrogance, but I already know that, or we already do that. And then when you start to unravel it, they actually don't. They're just trying to look good, because that's been their protection. That's how they've got through. And then you go, you know, it's okay. one of the key factors about leadership is not having all the answers. The best leaders have good questions, and they put those
Yeah.
questions to themselves and to their team. And then they work towards finding the answers and the solutions. Now, I used to think that I had to know everything. And then when I didn't know something, I'd try and cover it up and pretend that I did. Like, that's not leadership. And instead of going,
Well,
you know what? I don't know anything about that. Do you guys know anything about that? Who's going to be the best one to find out, or who can we ask?
I love that. And it's so interesting you say that, because I think sometimes it's a socioeconomic level thing too. For example, I
Yeah.
was asked into a foundation meeting. We were renovating our concert hall. And so I said to the person putting the meeting together, I said, I want to bring my lead stagehands and the person in charge of the auditorium. Well, they said I couldn't bring them. And I said, okay, then I'm not coming to the meeting. If
Oh,
I
wow.
can't bring my guys who know the answers to your questions, because I won't be able to answer them. These are the people that move everything in the auditorium. They manage the auditorium. They're the people with the keys, the great big ring of keys. And so then they said, well, I guess we'll let you bring them. And it was a total like socioeconomic clash, foundation heads and janitors, basically, is what I put together in the room. And I was so happy in that meeting. Because just like you said, those are the people that could give the answers.
Yeah, I learn so much from my team. Like just yesterday, I mean, I'm a Mac user, and so you stick me in front of a PC and I'm lost. I can use all I can use all the programs that we use in my dental office, but then the techie guy was saying to me, "Oh, can you open up this program and get me this?" And I'm like, I was just staring at the screen and going, "Actually, no, I can't. I don't know." And so I had to go and get the youngest person on my team and go, can you do this for the techie person? Because I don't know how to do it. That's not a bad thing. That's just saying, it's not my forte. Why should I be sitting there trying to pretend I know what I'm doing when I don't? That's great leadership. And now that young person on my team, I'm like, you're now going to be our techie person. You've got an extra role. We've just grown her. She thought,
That's
oh, well, I'm here to
fantastic.
assist. And, this is where we need to go. And I think that's where, we can look at that on a human level, that we can be in a situation and go, I don't know how to show up here. And that's where we can look at our mindset, we can look at our values and look at our life experience and reach out to other people. Like, I know for a lot of people, they freak out at public speaking, and I would actually rather be on stage in front of a group of people than I felt to do Facebook Live. Because at least when I'm in front of a group of people, I can see their faces. I can see whether they're responding to me or not. When you do Facebook Live, it's blind, and that for me was like free fall. And I'm like, well, how do I handle it? And I go, just got to do it. And I spoke to other people who'd done Facebook. I took advice from our coach that we were using at the time. I followed a little cheat sheet and a formula, and I just kept doing it until I'm like, you know what, this is great. I feel really comfortable. It's like being in front of a live audience. So most people would say public speaking's their biggest fear. And I'm like, you idiot, you're good at that. So why is Facebook Live, or why are these things so hard? And sometimes you've just got to be willing to say, I'm going to give this a go and see what happens. And we implement things in the dental office and go, well, that didn't work. And we scrap it. But we look at why it didn't work. Did we get our objective right? Did we have the right people in the right roles? And had we given them the right tasks and the resources to do what they want? And that's where that growth for myself and my team comes in, because in the past I've gone, I would have blamed everybody else for whatever not working, instead of going, well, what was my part in that? Was I not clear on my instructions? Did I not make it easy for the team to actually understand what was needed? And now with my coaching business, with the Cheeky Dentist and my online program that I'm about to launch, I'm having to let go and trust my coaches who are working with me to be a better coach and bring these things forward, that they've got to that I've got to trust their process. I've also got to trust the people that we're employing to do all the back end stuff and do all the techie things and to bring it all together. And so that's took me to a whole new level. And now this online program's coming. It's the first time I've ever done it. And I am freaking out. But I'm freaking out and I'm really giddy and excited all at once. And I'm like, why are you freaking out? I'm like, well, maybe people won't buy it. Maybe people won't like it. Maybe they'll criticize me. And I'm like, great, you will learn from that. You'll understand what it is people want.
Right.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
And then I'm excited because I've got all this stuff to share and I know I can help people and make a difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So who is your new program for specifically? Is it for dentists?
The program is for dentists. It's called Dental Logic. It's really helping them develop the systems so that they can make fortunes. And by fortunes, it's not just money. For me, I feel fortunate because I have time to spend with my family. I have time to do the things I enjoy and take holidays and, you know, just appreciate life. But it's also building those systems so that they can have fun, so that they can enjoy their dentistry. So it's going to be a 12-week program. This first round, I'm actually going to be teaching it live. There's going to be live Q&A, Facebook group. I'm also going to do some sessions called The Doctor Is In. So there'll be Facebook Lives where people in the group can get one-on-one coaching. We'll do hot seats together and all sorts of crazy things. So yes, it's for dentists. You don't have to own your own practice. There'll be stuff that you can apply across the board. Have a ball.
Okay, that's very cool. Well, I am going to certainly make sure that some dentists that I know about this. And,
fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. And so anybody who's coming on here live or the replay, please just connect Rachel to your dentist or your hygienist or whoever it is that you're working with teeth. And Rachel, it's been anything else you want to add before we close out tonight? It's been such a great time to just be with you because I really enjoyed our company when we were in our group together. So this is really neat.
Well, I think one of the things I've been really looking at recently is mindset. And when you tell yourself you can't, or you're fearful, or you're resistant of something, that's normally the thing that is going to give you the biggest growth and is going to be the thing that actually sets you free, takes you to the next level. So I'm going to encourage anyone who's watching this video, whether they're a dentist, not a dentist, entrepreneur, or just, you know, Joe Blow off the street, stop going one day. Start living your life that you were born to live today. Stop putting it off, get out there and stretch past that comfort zone. And if you don't know how to go forward, reach out and get some help from somebody who can give you that support.
Absolutely. We are here for you. Beautiful, Rachel. Well, have a really wonderful,
Thank you.
Well, it's morning there, right? Is it morning?
It is, yeah. It's morning. The sun is shining. It's a beautiful day here in Australia. And it's a long weekend.
The sun is setting here.
We've got a public holiday, so hopefully down the beach. Yeah, be wonderful. Beautiful. And that's what I say about being fortunate. You know, I get to have a great life as well as an awesome business.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on my show with me. I think it's truly amazing that you can be around the world and we can connect. How amazing is that?
Yeah, I love it too. And if your viewers want some stuff on leadership, I've got a little resource that if you're happy for me to pop it in the comments that they can access.
Sure. That would be fabulous. All right. Well, thank you so much for being with me, Rachel. Wonderful to see you.
Thank you, Elle. Really
Have a good night, everybody.
Lovely to connect with you. Take care.
Okay. Bye.